Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. It's Saturday, September 12th. Oh, guys, this year is just flying by. We are, what, 7.5 weeks away from Election Day. November 3rd is right around the corner. I just cannot believe how fast this year's gone. I have been on the campaign trail, y'all. I started running last year in October. I started running in October of last year. So I am almost 12 months in to my campaign, my candidacy. Let's see where my trusty co-host is this morning. Let's see. There he is.
Good morning.
Good morning, David.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. We're matching.
Yeah, I see.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit getting some sniffles. I think it's the fall pollen. That's
Hmm?
and I've been swimming more, so that also. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
doing fine. I seem to be, keeping my health and not getting into any compromising COVID compromising situations. So
Yeah. Social distancing, wearing your mask, hand washing.
yep,
I think it's working. I mean, it's working as best as it can, I guess. But I think.
yeah, I'm not I mean uh, we have a long way to go. We need a lot of discipline, and
Mm-hmm.
we
Because
need
David, I'm gonna tell you, I have been some places, David, where I've been at some gatherings around when I was on the campaign trail this last month, and I can tell you the majority of the people they're not wearing these masks, but I had on mine.
yeah. Well, that's very
That's
important.
the discipline you're talking about.
Yeah, and also, we're aware that Trump not only knew how serious it was, but he sent out a conflicting message,
Mm-hmm.
completely repudiating what he'd been told, not only by the epidemiologist, but also by his own national security advisors. Um, so this is quite staggering, and I think it's right for Democrats to make a big campaign issue out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and but and at the same time to really get out um, get out the vote. Um, we just found out, as you passed along to me, that the guy who is running in the 14th congressional district against
Mm-hmm.
the woman who's the QAnon follower, he's dropped out of the race.
Oh,
Um,
David, when I saw that, I
yeah,
immediately, I don't know if you knew it before I sent it to you, but as soon as I saw it, I sent that to you. I was so shocked.
yeah, it really behooves the Georgia Democratic Party at this point to get someone into that race, to leave that field, empty is a. I mean, it could have an impact on the entire Georgia election.
But
If
you know
there's
what, David? You know what, David? I'm gonna tell you, I think that it's two things that happened. Either that man was threatened or
Yeah.
he was paid. I mean, how do you
Well,
drop out of a race in like less than 2 months away?
Well, there's that's speculation. I mean, he's saying that he had some serious personal, family, crisis, and you can understand that without having to, I mean, look, he's up against the conspiracy theorist. Let's not play into.
Let's not create a conspiracy theory. But David, this is not. I've seen this before in races where people jump out at the last minute.
Yeah. Well, the other side of it is that the entire Georgia Democratic establishment had better get their butts in gear and get somebody into that race, because if they leave the 14th congressional district, uncontested by this woman, not only is it bad for morale, they're not going to get any votes. Whether she wins or loses, they are. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. So, John Ossoff, I know you're listening to this broadcast, avidly every week. Hank Johnson, and Stacey Abrams, you really better get on the stick about this. There's got to be a candidate in the 14th congressional district. It seems to me. I mean, I'm not a campaign, guru or advisor or anything like that, but it certainly seems to me to leave that Northwest Georgia uncontested is. No matter how many votes you're going to pick up, it's better than zero.
So here's my take on the party not moving swiftly. It is so disheartening that two things don't happen within the Democratic Party that I have a major problem with. The fact that on their website, if you go to the Democratic Party of Georgia's website, you should be able to find every single damn candidate in every race around Georgia. You should know who your elected officials are. That website should be thebomb.com. That website should be where you can find out anything you need to know specific to being a Democrat in Georgia, who's running, links to their websites, how to donate to these people. How do I find my elected officials? How do I register to vote? Everything you need, that website should be everything, and it's nothing. That's number one. The second problem I have with the Democratic Party is that they should be funding every single county party, every single one of them. The Georgia Democrats and the Democratic Party as a whole raise enough money that the Democratic Party's local these county parties should not have to ask candidates for money to do anything.
Yeah.
So I have a major problem with the operations of the Georgia Democratic Party. We can do a better job than this. We can do a damn better job than this. But when you have, and this is, I'm putting it out, when you have the party chair running for office, how much time can you really give that position? Yeah. This is why you can't have, you can't be double-minded. You got to get in your lane and stay in your lane. Just like Raphael Warnock is running in this race for the United States Senate and has vowed to remain the senior pastor at Ebenezer. Who's going to get the short end of the stick, his parishioners or the state of Georgia, or both? Yeah. You can't be all things to all people.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I think those are really critical points. And we have talked before about about how your rival in this Senate race has been essentially de facto anointed by the is involved in joint fundraising with the candidate who won the primary for the David Perdue seat, John Ossoff. Yes, I think that there really is a really big issue here that Democrats really need to pay attention to, and it should be now, not after the election, when Ossoff has lost by 20,000 votes or something like that, because they couldn't get their crap together, which is certainly a possibility here in Georgia. I mean, after all, he's lost one race already, after spending $20 million plus, for the 6th congressional seat. And I think that there is a perception there that there are no votes to get in Northwest Georgia. There are no Democratic votes in Northwest Georgia. Well, you and I were up there in Dalton, 6 months ago, and there is an incredibly high morale, Democratic Party committee meeting that we attended with, how many people were there? 30 plus people, with really, really good ties to the community and a high level of morale. And the only thing that's standing in the way is getting some support, getting some good campaign advice, getting some good computer lists, and the folks are there on the ground.
But rural Georgia has always been neglected. Rural Georgia, and it's always been neglected, and they have some very unique and very special needs. And that was the beauty of me, you and I going north and me going south and really getting into the trenches. Like, I got into the trenches. I went into communities no candidate would dare go into. Some of these places were, so deserted, and these people are, they're different. It's very different. A lot of candidates won't go where I went. And these people said it. They feel neglected, rejected. They don't, they left out.
Yeah. And it's particularly the case with, it's particularly the case with African Americans, but Northwest Georgia has an awful lot of immigrant workers and European American poor working class folks that are up there that could be very could connect with even the moderate Democratic Party positions. And
I don't say even the moderate, because I'm gonna tell you, David, when we went, these people have serious needs. They have serious needs. They're not looking for somebody to come up there or come down south and give them rhetoric, campaign promises, coming down, raising the few dollars that they do have, taking that money, and they're not looking for that. They need more than that. So no, I don't believe a moderate could get in there and do anything.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm not clear. I really should have checked this out, but what's Ossoff's platform? What is he? What is he proposing? We need a platform that says that rural Georgia needs broadband. It needs restoration of its public health and hospitals, rural hospital system.
And reparations. Let me say it again. Reparations. Yeah. Let me say it again. Reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
Yeah. And that's why I agree with you about that. But that's why I'm saying even a platform that was able to.
How do we get those rural voters to the polls? For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to give them more than rhetoric. Don't come down here. Don't go up there. Giving these campaign speeches. This. They don't want to hear that.
No, they need to have their own organizations, and they need to be funded. I mean, those people up in reparations, yeah. And you were you proposed the idea of reparations to that group of Democrats up there in
White Democrats said, David.
white.
They were white Democrats.
Almost all of them, almost everyone was white, and they listened and they paid really close attention to what you were saying, and they were respectful of the
And receptive, David.
And what?
And receptive to the message of reparations.
Yeah.
They weren't afraid of it.
They weren't afraid of it. No, absolutely. So there is I mean, and this is another one of these cases where the people on the ground are way ahead of the leadership, way ahead.
This is why I get excited about this campaign season, about 2020, because they think people are dumb, and they're not. Like, people are woke. White people are woke. Black people are woke. People are woke. They're not looking at politics the way they used to. The things that worked before do not work now.
No, and I think Warnock's message is weak. What he's saying on the TV ads is just not it's
broad. It's broad. It's
abstract. And it's trying to make a personal connection between his being a pastor and what he's how he's going to act as a senator, and we don't need a pastor. We need somebody who has a program.
So let's talk about church and state, the separation of church and state. And I'm a believer. You could see I love God. I praise God. I talk about God. I'm a believer. But this is America, and religion has been used as a weapon. Let me say that again. Religion has been used as a weapon. Your love for God is been used against you.
Yeah.
And his candidacy, he's putting himself out there. And here's what's happening. People who are who are beautiful people who love God like I love God. I'm talking, let me just be very specific. Black people. I'm talking about his black base, because I see who's following him. They see pastor, and they so much believe in the church, because that's who we are as a people. The church was our everything. The church was everything to us as a people. But this generation of us, and maybe a generation or so back, we started to see things a little differently. And he's riding on the fact that he's a pastor. And there's so many people that are still so indoctrinated into the church that they're gravitating towards him because of their love for God. All skin folks and kinfolk. Let me say that again. All skin folks and kinfolks. And just because somebody's a pastor don't mean that they ain't God. That person is not God. And so many people are gravitating to him because they see past black people. And that bothers me to my core, because he ain't God. He ain't your God. He ain't your savior.
Well, I also think that I just read a long piece called Sanders' 5-Year War, about his about the kind of a post-mortem, a dissection of why Sanders was unable to bring it home, to actually win either the 2016 or the 2020 Democratic primary. And this is a guy who's a very sophisticated historian, tenured person at Princeton. He really seemed to have done a very careful job of examining what the dynamic has been over the last 7-8 months that led to this total reversal of the situation in which Biden essentially walked into the candidacy and recaptured the Democratic Party from its left wing. And I think that this article by Matt Karp really does sum up in a lot of ways what happened, and he looks at it in terms of three things. Sanders was unable to mobilize a working class solidarity vote, and the African American Democratic electorate proved to be more conservative and centrist than he was not able to overcome that conservatism, moderates consensus. And the third piece in the situation was that there has been a tremendous shift in the white middle class suburbs away from the Republican Party and into the Democratic Party. And those folks, upper middle class homeowners, suburbanites, particularly women, particularly college educated, have done a large political shift in that demographic. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they no longer are living in these hermetically sealed, white bubbles. People like you are living in areas where they now are familiar with people who are of the same who they think are of the same socioeconomic status as them. When in fact, African Americans who are in the same, neighborhoods are far more vulnerable. But what it's begun to do, I think, is to make some shifts which are positive.
David, stay there with that thought. The reason why we move into their neighborhoods, I actually had a conversation yesterday. This is so timely. I had a conversation yesterday with someone who was saying, Black people would prefer to live amongst Black people. And he's right. He was so right. We would prefer to live amongst, just like the Asian community, they live amongst each other. Your Latino community, they tend to live amongst each other. We would like to live amongst each other too. But guess what? The resources in our communities are lacking. Our schools, we don't have grocery stores. So we have to move into areas where we have opportunities and we can have some sort of upward mobility, quote unquote. Right.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think that there are things that are visible to those. I think of them really as the as an upper strata of the working class, because most of these people are not, are not part of the 10%, the upper 10%. They're salaried people. They have a little bit more security than people of color do. And they see certain things that they do not want to have happen. They don't want people rousted, Black people rousted by the cops when they could be their neighbors. So I think there's a lot of awareness on that front, and why the Black Lives Matter movement has generated such a mass of white support, which has not really been undermined even by the few situations in which there has been more what they call violence. This is burning down a storefront. If you want to call that violence, you don't know. Compared to what these white supremacist militias are doing. It's they're killing people. You know, um, but I do think that there are still big gaps, big blind spots among those folks, European American folks who are sympathetic but not really getting the whole picture. And so they remain part of this moderate center that Biden is able to mobilize to his advantage, and was able to do and I think that because Black people generally are politically sophisticated, um, that's why they, in spite of the fact that Sanders' program and platform resonated with an awful lot of Black people, and not just young people, not just young Black people. It just did not seem realistic to them, given the dynamics of American politics. So, um, we really have to keep in mind that in
Can you hear this? My phone just rang and Trump campaign is calling me. Can y'all hear it?
It's proven to be filled with fraud, abuse, and mistakes. Radical Democrats are playing politics with a pandemic and would leave our elections vulnerable to fraud.
Can y'all hear it?
Absentee voting is a safe and secure way to cast your vote
I
with
think
all
they
the same
can.
requirements as in-person voting. Don't delay. Secure your vote by returning your absentee ballot request form today. Paid for by the Republican National Committee and authorized by Donald J. Trump for president. www.gov.
The RNC, Donald Trump, they're calling me right now. as if I don't know how I got on that mailing list.
Yeah,
we got Jackie Johnson here.
You've got yourself connected, so they're going to keep calling you. I don't answer the phone when I see that, but isn't it interesting that they're calling for people to do mail-in balloting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just as Trump is saying that it's a total fraud, and all of these other things. So I don't know how that message comes across when the RNC is saying one thing and the presidential candidate is saying exactly the opposite.
Yeah. We'll leave that alone, David. Yeah. Jackie Johnson is here. I've been waiting on her this morning. Good morning. Can you hear us? Looks like she's frozen.
I can hear y'all.
Yeah.
Can you hear us? You're frozen though. Can you? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, your camera was frozen. Good morning. This is Kendrick Johnson's mother. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining us on this broadcast this morning. Thank you. We all know your story, and it is so heartbreaking. I remember when I saw it, and for those that don't know, I'll let Miss Jackie bring you up to speed. But I remember when I saw the story about your son in the mat. I don't know, I just couldn't, it just stopped me. And I because I'm a mom and I have two sons, the shock of that, I can't imagine, Jackie, your pain. So I'm gonna let you start and tell the story.
Well, my name is Jacqueline Johnson, and I'm the mother of Kendrick Johnson, a 17-year-old that was found dead, rolled up in a gym mat in Valdosta, Georgia, at Lowndes High School. He was 17. He was an athlete. He played 3 sports. He played football, basketball, and he ran track. And on January the 10th, he went missing at school, and he never came home. He went in school with his book bag and came out in a body bag. They told us so many different stories that he was trying to reach for a tennis shoe, stayed in the mat, got stuck, and died, as if he was just some kind of dumb child that would try to reach in a mat that he know he couldn't even fit down in. First of all, because his shoulders were like 17 inches wide, but the mat hole was like 14. So it's like he wiggled his way in the mat trying to get a tennis shoe that he know he couldn't reach the bottom of. It was one of the theories that they gave us, and that he just stayed there and got stuck and died. Like who would first of all try to get in the mat they know their body couldn't fit in? And second of all, who would just stay there, not even scream, make no noise for somebody to even yell for help? They told us that he died from positional asphyxiation, from being upside down so long. But the tennis shoe that was under Kendrick's head had no blood on it. Kendrick had vomited. It had no vomit on it. I mean, just so many lies that they told us, that stuff that didn't even add up to it. And they told us the sheriff wasn't even in town, but he came back and gave us at like 5 something in the evening. He came back and told us that Kendrick had no bruises on him, that there was no trace or form of anything that they saw that it could be a murder. So they were just gonna send him to the crime lab to see what had happened.
Tell us more about your son. We'll come back to what happened, but tell us more. He played basketball. He played football. He ran track. Your son sounds like a pretty popular kid.
Kendrick he was the type of kid that I haven't even met so many little girls, and one girl had this, I don't want to call her, she was not mental retarded, but she was in one of the special ed classes in the high school, and she told me that Kendrick, this was like maybe 2 years ago, that Kendrick had some guys were picking on her, and Kendrick came up to her and he told her, asked her, was she all right? And he made those guys leave her alone, and he walked her on the class, like not even knowing her or anything. That's the kind of kid was, and not because he's my child, but Kendrick was a good child. He would yes ma'am you, and no sir, no sir. The males, like, he had very good manners. All his teachers, he never had a problem in school. And for them he loved his school. I can remember even a time Kendrick played basketball when his toe was broke. He didn't care. He just wanted to play sports and graduate. He had his mindset that he was going to be an NFL player, that he had no doubt, just all those things in the house. As in our house, it gets so hard to even, talk about him sometimes. But in our house, he was like the life of our house. He would run through the house. We was this weird kind of family that we did crazy stuff. We had water fights. We didn't care about no furniture. We just loved one another. Material things you can get back. We would have water fights. We would wrestle throughout the house. And my daughter and him was at school together. So she had finished school. So when he was going to school this last year before he got killed, she would be in the house asleep. So he would come in there and he would just dive on top of her back and make her so mad. And they would get up and she would be chasing them through the house. Like, we used to cook out and do all kind of different things in the house. Now we don't have none of that. We just, our life is just so changed. Like, we can't even begin to get over Kendrick's death, begin to even grieve his death because of all the stuff that we're continually have to go through.
So is there some sort of an ongoing investigation? Where are you in this journey? Because this is a journey.
We're still filing suits and stuff. So right now the case is closed. We're still finna go back before the district attorney and to have his case reopened. So it is a journey. Like, they have us where we got to pay almost $300,000 worth of attorney fees, and it feels like we got to pay the people that killed our child. Like, it's just been one thing after another, but it don't stop us. That's the thing about it. We're in this fight to the end because our child lives matter.
Yeah. Do you have a GoFundMe, Jackie, or a way for people to contribute to you?
I do have a GoFundMe set up.
What is your GoFundMe?
Is GoFundMe.com/justice for KJ. Justice, the number 4 for KJ.
Let me put that on the screen so people can see it as well. And you have other children. Kendrick had brothers and sisters. How many other children do you have?
I have I have 2 boys, one biological, and I have one daughter.
Older? They're all, oh, he was your youngest child?
He was the youngest.
Yeah. So how are they? The
It's
other
just one.
children?
It's just one second at a time, and like his birthday is coming up on October the 10th, and it makes it even worse because he's not here. So we just go through the motion. Like my son, he have not even cried about this. So he's just like holding everything in, and just like I praying that it just don't erupt on him one day, because he gets so overwhelmed. He's like at the grave every Sunday, and it just like he caught me Sunday from the grave. My brother grave got leaves and stuff all on it. It's like it's just an emotional roller coaster for us right now.
Yeah. She said, your strength is admirable. Yeah.
Thank you.
My heart goes out to you. Like I said, we all saw this around the state. Have you gotten any national attention? Where has there been any national attention given to your
Some
to this
years,
case?
maybe in the middle at a point in time, but not really.
Mm-hmm. Anybody, any of these politicians, these elected officials, these
No,
people with influence, have
no,
they
I think
contacted you?
no, I think they all scared of the fight that we're in. So no, nobody really contacts us about Kendrick. It's just maybe local people, or people that's some of the other mothers and stuff that's in the fight, but no big politicians. Like, mm-mm.
And I said to you when I called you, I said, I will use my platform to shed as much light as I can. And whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it to help you. David and I have been doing this broadcast now for 2 years. And, we shed light on race, racism, and race relations. I'm radical. He's radical. And we look so different, but, we fight hard together. David, do you have any comments or questions for Ms. Johnson?
I'm just I'm a bit overwhelmed by it. This is something that we would expect to have the uh, with with so many unanswered questions, and such a strange set of circumstances. It's really um, seems to me that there's got to be a really there has to be an investigation that is so thorough that that it satisfies you, um, Ms. Johnson. I mean that seems to me to be the issue. You have to be satisfied, not the sheriff, not the DA, uh, uh, with understanding what happened. I guess that's the only thing that I have to say. That you know that for the rest of us, that becomes our touchstone. That you have been fully satisfied with with what happened, and it certainly seems to me that it is uh, inexplicable given what they've told you. Um, you know, so
So
uh,
let me ask her. There's a follow up to this question about the investigation that you guys have had done. You had his body um, exhumed. I think that's the right word. And
Mhm.
what happened?
We had his body exhumed twice. Um, they came back, and the first one said, the second autopsy said blunt force trauma, and the third one agreed with it, but it added more into the blunt force trauma, like the bruising from what the EMT said when they first got on site where Kendrick was. The EMT said it was bruising to his right jaw, and the second autopsy added to the bruising on the jaw, and the pathologist said that the he had a carotid artery in his neck where they had hit him in the neck.
No cameras, Jackie?
they had over 20 something cameras through the school, and that one where in the corner where Kendrick was, they said it stopped working. Now it worked when they first walked people first walked in the gym to investigate the crime. But all of a sudden, all the rest of the hours are gone out of the camera system. But as they begin to take Kendrick out on the gurney, the cameras came back on. That one camera.
Wow.
So let me tell you how I know that happens. I got into an incident some years back. My son is 18. He was 3 years old. We were at Walmart and I was attacked, and me and a white girl who waited for me because I took a parking space that she wanted. So she waited for me inside of the store at Walmart to harass me. Ended up turning into an altercation. The camera was missing all of that. So when you talk about these cameras and how they manipulate these cameras, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And your son, that whole thing is gone. All of a sudden, the whole incident is gone, but the cameras come back on after the fact.
Right. And then the sheriff, one of the head sheriff that was there, he said that at first he said nobody was in the gym with Kendrick. He said when Kendrick went in the gym, he went to the left and a white guy came in behind him and he went to the right. If they did that, they walked straight into a brick wall. So you know you started off lying. Like the gym, you come in the gym where he came in from, you walk, if Kendrick turned to the left, he walked straight into a brick wall. And if the white boy went to the right, he walked into a brick wall. But as more footage came on our pictures, you seen kids playing basketball, you seen kids running throughout the gym. It's just lies from day one that still don't make no sense, but they don't want to answer those questions. All they want to do is like continue to make us like we're lying when we know our son was murdered. We know good and well. I had a stillborn that was born on Kendrick's birthday, and she had her skin slippage. So we know what all that looked like. No, Matt did not beat my son up, no kind of way. I don't care if he was in there for over 30 hours. He wouldn't have looked the way he was looking. We know what a bruise looked like. I had a baby girl that came out, and she had all kind of slippage on her body. So you can't just come and tell us anything and expect us to believe it.
Mm-hmm. Jackie, don't you quit. Don't you stop. Don't you give up. This is a fight that, you can't stop. And you like she said, admirable, like your strength. Thank you. Just, oh my God, my heart. Like I said, I'm a mother of 2 sons. Whatever I can do, I'm here for you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for telling us your story.
Thank y'all.
Please come back. Is anything you want us to know, anything you want to share, don't you hesitate to reach out and let me know so that I can put it out. I do have a platform. They're paying attention to me now.
Oh, yeah.
While I got it, use it. It's yours.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm saying that publicly. Yes. Yeah. Come back, Jackie. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank y'all for having me. Y'all enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. And I'll reach out to you soon, Jackie.
Okay, thank you.
All righty.
Right.
Wow. Wow. I keep thinking about these things in terms of what is what is justice? I mean, is it just for white people, or is it well off white people, that are able to get the resources to bring to bear to demand that something like this be explained. I'm really, I just, I have no words for it anymore. You know, it's you know, if people believe that every life is precious, then something like this happening has got to be the people who are in charge of the investigating um, uh, uh, you know, deaths like this have really got to be held accountable.
Yeah.
This is an
And
accountability.
this is at a high school.
Yeah.
These and you know what, the children, and here's my take, because you know these children, they love each other, they're kids, you know, they're high schoolers, that this is the best time of their lives. They know what happened at that school because they talk amongst themselves. They know. Now they may not say it now, but I can tell you the ones that know, that were close to this, this is not over.
Yeah.
And these children are going to grow up.
Yeah.
And when they grow, as they continue to grow up, they're carrying this. At some point, somehow, some way, somebody is going to come out with this, and they're going to tell the truth, and the whole thing is going to come out.
Yeah.
Because these children, they're young. They have parents now that are probably protecting them. You know, they can't say so, but so much because the parents are saying, don't, you know, this is, you know, they're stopping it or blocking it. But as these children grow up, David, they're gonna come back, and this gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yes, I will. I'll post it on my page. Yes, I will. Yes, this is not over. This is not over.
Yep. That's
America has a lot of work to do, David.
Yeah.
And we have to address race. That's why I love you so much. This broadcast means so much to me, because we're able to talk. We get to it. We get to the root of it. It's either right or it's wrong. Period. Ain't no gray. It's right or it's wrong.
I think that there certainly is an issue of accountability that is a general, you know, accountability of police, of investigations, of you know, the kinds of things that go on in factories and workplaces where people's lives are put in jeopardy and in some cases lose their lives. This is the common class, you know, predicament and plight that working people have in general, and for European American working people, they have got to be aware that, you know, that something like this happens to Black people, you know, poor and working class Black people, it affects them too. It means less accountability, you know, in their own lives, whether that be an incident like this that takes place in a high school, or whether it takes place in a factory or a workplace, or you know, another workplace. If we don't have accountability for these kind of things, for serious injuries, for deaths, then it just spreads throughout the system that there's no accountability.
And police can put their knee on your neck, and they keep choking you, and you telling them you can't breathe. Like, this is our reality.
Yeah. And that's why I'm trying to relate it to people who may not be as susceptible or vulnerable to this kind of street aggression by police. That the lack of accountability it affects them. It may be more indirect, but it is definitely part of a much broader picture of how.
He says, go to this comment. He says that the booing at the moment of silence for racial justice with the NFL. I hadn't seen it because I don't watch football, but you know, that's just it's a sad place. And if I was a Black player and the audience they're booing me, I would be protesting. Why aren't these NFL players saying, okay, we're not gonna play, we're just gonna stand here until you stop booing and start cheering.
Yeah, that's what I think I'm trying to get at with this, with my case and my argument that I'm making now, is that the lack of accountability um, is not something that's simply cut off from the rest of the lack of accountability of the police is not simply lack of accountability to the black community. It's the whole way in which white collar crime and terrible, putting of people's lives in danger in workplaces, and the look at the situation in Flint, Michigan, with poisoning children. Um, we really need to think about this, not just in racial but also in class terms, if we're going to have um, uh, uh, a message that we can send to European American working people that solidarity is in their interests. That if they stand up for black people, they are standing up for themselves.
Yeah, David, and that is your convincing to do. That is your work to do, David.
It's a lot of it's a heavy
Heavy
lift.
lifting.
What's that?
It's heavy lifting that you have to do.
Yeah, I know. Um, and anybody who wants to work on this, it ain't doing it ain't making a revolution ain't crowded, as my old mentor Ted Allen used to say. And by the way, there's going to be a class. We could talk about that. To a reading group that's going to be reading Ted Allen's masterwork, The Invention of the White Race. In any, we should find out more. We will get details to anybody who's interested in
Invention of the white race, how white people are white, and they're they left their identity of being Irish or whatever they were prior to being white. They've abandoned that to be white.
Well, and the most important part of that identity was that they lost their attention to their own class interests. And that's the crucial. That's what makes the white race into a social control stratum rather than just simply another form of identity. It's the loss of identity. It's and that's what I keep arguing here, is that there is nothing for working people who are European American in that identity of being part of the white race. It just turns them into tools against not only black people and other people of color, but against themselves, against their own class interests. So
the privilege of being white to them is, it's worth it.
Yeah, the work that we need to do, we European Americans who are, this is part of the problem that the Sanders campaign faced. I think the critical central issue that the Sanders campaign did not address, and what made it difficult for them to convince black people to go along with the Sanders program, was that they could not produce, Sanders could not produce working class whites who were in solidarity, that they had actually figured out a way to bring European American working class people into solidarity with with African American and other people of color. And so
I don't think and I was a Bernie Pratt And I was a Bernie supporter, but I didn't support him this last time around. I was all for Marianne Williamson. So after that, I just kind of got lost in the shuffle. But you know, I didn't. Yeah, I tried to have conversations in those progressive spaces with these Bernie-crats around race and building solidarity and reparations and what Black people need. And my gosh, as soon as I talked Black, it was over. As soon as I said we want something that Black people, we want reparations or we want a Black agenda, that conversation with them was over. They didn't want to talk about it. All they wanted to do was to win. And this is the problem I have with politics in general. It's all about the win, the win, the win. What the hell are you winning when you losing? I mean, your candidate may or may not win, but you're losing when you don't vote your interest.
I think that there is a tendency among I'm kind of creating this term white left with a hyphen between it, between the two words, white left.
You got to say it fast too, David. Say it fast. White left.
This white left is a phenomenon that we've had for generations now, where the position is that, well, we will fight for these agenda issues. Now it's the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and we'll work out the issues of inequality after we get to those.
Hell no! That stop time. Yeah. That's it right there. After, that's the word, David. After.
Just
that's where Black people are saying time out. The ADOS movement is saying time out. There will be no after. If we don't get what we want, you're not getting what you want. And I'm gonna tell you, I just put out a piece. It says it's a letter to white Democrats and white progressives that if this ADOS movement doesn't get what they want, that demand for reparations, y'all gonna have another 4 years of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So there's that key word, David, that you use after, and that's the problem.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I don't want to make it into an either or. I think the process is shifting. There is so much more attention now. Look, I've been around a long time. But there is so much more attention now to the issues of white supremacy, and it's just unavoidable at this point for European American white leftists to that they have to pay attention to it. But the process never really there isn't a realization that solidarity, real solidarity, not with a white top and a black bottom, but real solidarity has got to be the basis upon which all of their other programs are even possible, and that's really been Well, and here again, I'm trying to be a little more nuanced about it. I mean, Biden is very likely to win the election.
I don't know, David. I don't know. I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, let
me tell you. So let me tell you. And because we're almost at the top of the hour. I was passing out flyers. I walked up to a black man, well dressed. I figured he'd be glad to get a flyer. I handed him my flyer. That man said to me, "I'm a pastor and I'm a Republican," and all I could do was go, "Ooh."
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you what we think. Whoever thought we would have Donald Trump?
Right.
Hillary did. Yeah. So she was ready to break that glass ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, I don't want to get complacent about this, but the forces that are aligning seem to be lining up. That is the people who really the power and the people who really make the decisions. But they're lining up behind Biden in order to prevent a real change just as they lined up behind Obama. And that's one of the issues that we really have to address, is that Obama was beholden to the same financial system that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were beholden to. And his administration bailed out the banks and left millions and millions of homeowners underwater. And the reason that they could do that, the reason that they could get away with that, was because of the divided and unequal conditions of the working class as a whole. So the people who lost their,
I'm hopeful, but there are many Black and religious Black people that are voting for Trump. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. We're gonna end with that, because these Democrats better wake up.
Yeah.
Donnie Jones live, y'all. She'll be joining us at the end of the month. Better wake up, Democrats. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy, your candidate for the United States Senate. This is my trusty co-host, David. We join you every Saturday at 11 a.m. Join us next week where we bring it to life. We talk race, racism, race relations. We lend our platform to issues, activists, and activism around Georgia. David, you can find him at Acknowledge the Divide right here on Facebook. And again, I am Tamara Johnson Shealy, your candidate for the United States Senate. Please go to my website. Please donate, y'all. We're getting down to the wire. I need some contributions. Please go to the website, make a donation. Consider giving me a little something till we get to November 3rd, guys. Please donate. You can volunteer. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. David?
Power to the people.
Power to the people, everybody. Have a great week.
You too.